What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into the channel. So the Green Bay Packers unfortunately lost in Week 10 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers 23-19 in a very frustrating game, but nonetheless, you guys know we have to dive down into the PFF grades and break them down from this game for both the Packers offense and the defense and go over all the grades. So that's exactly what we're going to do in this video. I do this after every game, every week. So if that sort of thing does interest you, definitely go down and click subscribe. You'll find everything Green Bay Packers every single day right here on this channel, from news, analysis, updates, live streams, all of that sort. Before we dive down into the grades, I want to quickly remind you guys, you have one more day to enter in this signed, framed De'Vondre Campbell Packers photo here. Thank you to Pristine Auction. Pristine Auction is a great source for everything signed sports memorabilia, especially the Green Bay Packers. Everything behind me, including that framed Jordan Love jersey, the framed Lucas Van Ness jersey, every other jersey behind me is signed and authenticated on Pristine. There's a ton of great deals to be had on Pristine Auction. As we see here, this Romeo Doubs jersey ends in 8 hours. It's only at $15.75, and there's no reserve on that. So you could probably get that for a really good deal. Here's another Romeo Doubs, a home one, for $10. Lucas Van Ness is at $30, and there's another Lucas Van Ness. There's signed jerseys, pictures, helmets, you name it. So to enter in the signed De'Vondre Campbell photo giveaway, head to pristineauction.com or click the link down in the description below. Sign up on Pristine Auction with my registration code BAS, B-A-S, and that'll enter you in this giveaway and all future giveaways. A new giveaway will start later this week as well, and that will also give you $10 off your first order. So if you go and bid on an item like I just showed you, you'll get an additional $10 off of that if you do indeed win it. All right, so now let's dive down into the PFF grades for this Packers Week 10 loss that now makes them 3-6. Now there are some good grades in this game. The majority of them are on offense. So we're going to start with the offense. So let's bring up the screen here, and we see the top graded player for the Packers Week 10 game versus the Steelers was Elgton Jenkins with an 81.1, a 79.4 pass block, and an 85.1 run block. So really nice game from Elgton Jenkins. He's had a good stretch of games the last 2 to 3 games, and it seems like he's finally getting back to his normal self after the sprained MCL and of course the ACL last year. It seems like we're starting to see the normal Elgton Jenkins, which will really help this interior of the offensive line. As we saw in this game, it seemed the interior played a lot better in terms of run block. AJ Dillon had some lanes to run through and had some nice runs. Next, we see Jayden Reed with a 79.1. Jayden Reed has been very impressive this year. He's actually the leading wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers in terms of yards. And he's actually also second in the NFL of catches 30-plus yards, under only Tyreek Hill. So Jayden Reed has been very impressive this year. He had an awesome game in this game as well. I've been super impressed with him, and I want to see more of him in this offense. The Packers should just keep feeding Jayden Reed. It seems like him and Jordan Love are on the same page right now. And speaking of Jordan Love, he has another really nicely graded PFF game here against the Steelers. And this was kind of my instant thoughts post-game, is that Jordan Love, I thought, had a good game. I saw a lot of improvement from Jordan Love in this game in terms of, firing on his first read, really letting the ball rip out there, and a little bit better in terms of the accuracy game. I didn't think this was by any means a perfect game, but I don't also believe that the Packers lost because of poor quarterback play. And I know a lot of people will look at the box score and go, well, he threw 2 interceptions. First of which, yeah, sure, he could have threw it a little higher, but Christian Watson, again, just doesn't really fight for any football. And it was tipped anyways, an interception. The second one was the last play of the game, where they have 7 defenders standing on the goal line. So, yeah, sure, you could maybe throw it higher again to another player. But it's the last play of the game. Don't put yourself in that situation to begin with. Jordan Love, a 77.8 here. And if we go into his profile, we see the last 2 games really nicely graded, an 83.2 and now a 77.8, bringing his quarterback grade up to a 71.3, which isn't too half bad. Next on this list, someone that would surprise you that we usually don't see at the top here is Josh Myers with a 76.6. Poor pass blocking grade of 43.8, but which is more important is the run blocking grade for Myers in this game, an 88.7. And I feel like that does replicate kind of what happened in this game. I saw the interior kind of get some push finally with Elgton Jenkins, Josh Myers, create some lanes for AJ Dillon. So really nice game here by Josh Myers, which is a breath of fresh air. Then we see Luke Musgrave, a 72.7. He is also being utilized the way he should be. deep down the middle on a seam route. Jordan Love hit him. It was an awesome throw there. Then also the corner route where he's covered by a linebacker, and it was a mismatch. That's kind of what we've been saying all year, that they need to use Luke Musgrave as, not this 2-yard out, quick arrow route type of tight end. Use him vertically, use him down the middle of the field, stretch the defense, and create mismatches against linebackers. I'm really starting to like what they're doing with Luke Musgrave, and I hope it continues. A.J. Dillon had a 67.5. Awesome day by A.J. Dillon running the football. He was running hard, breaking tackles. He had a nice long of 40 yards, which was like totally out of the blue for us Packers fans. I feel like we haven't had a 40-yard run in a very, very long time, so that was nice to see. Then we see Tay Wicks, a 66.5. Not good run blocking grade, which is unusual for him. He's usually really good in the run blocking game, but Tay Wicks continues to get more snaps. As we see here, 30 snaps, and he deserves it. This dude simply just gets open. I mean, going forward at this point, Tay Wicks probably should get more snaps than Christian Watson until Watson actually earns to be out on the field and starts, catching balls. He has the lowest catch rate out of any receiver in the NFL, I think at like 30%. So he's getting targeted. It's not the lack of targets is why he's not having, a ton of catches and a ton of yards. It's just he's not making catches, not making contested catches. Whereas Tay Wicks, this guy's just constantly open. So I think he needs to continue to get more snaps. Romeo Doubs here is 61.6. Kind of been like, consistently getting around like 30 yards per game, but still need to see him kind of break out again. Zach Tom, a 61.6. Going against TJ Watt, I think that's a pretty good grade. He did have 2 penalties, but good in the run blocking game here. But going against TJ Watt, I feel like that's probably as good as you can get at that point. Rasheed Walker, 61.0. He had 68 total snaps as well, so we saw no Josh Nijman. And Rasheed Walker, I thought, did pretty well as well, going against someone like Alex Highsmith, who's also a really good edge rusher. Emmanuel Wilson had 3 snaps. Aaron Jones at 58.5. Not a good game for Aaron Jones at all. Multiple drops. Just really didn't run well, and then late in the game catches a ball and cuts into the middle of the field where the Packers have no timeouts, and that wastes a lot of time, and the Packers maybe could have got closer to the end zone if he just went out of bounds or dropped that ball. Like, that was the ball he should have dropped to not waste all that time. But not a good game by Aaron Jones. I'm hoping he can bounce back next week. Josiah DeGuara, 58.3. This guy is down to like 5 snaps on offense, and even when he's on special teams, he's just letting a guy run right by him to block a extra point. That completely changed the game. At this point, I'm over it. I'm over Josiah DeGuara. I don't think there's any saving this guy, this 3rd-round draft pick. I feel like that ship has sailed, and this will be his last year in Green Bay, which is a little unfortunate because I feel like if you put him on like the 49ers, they could actually utilize him how he should be. And I'm not saying he's a great tight end or he would make it worth that 3rd-round pick, because he probably wouldn't. But I feel like the Packers draft these type of players, and it's always on the Packers is where they don't succeed, and then they'll go to another team and do decently well. And then we see Malik Heath, a 57.4. John Runyon, a 54.9. Just continues to have issues in the run blocking game, as we see here, 43.3. Please just put in Sean Ryan. Christian Watson, a 54.3. Already kind of talked about him. And then Tucker Kraft got 35 total snaps, so really over-jumping DeGuara, where earlier in the year this was kind of flipped. So he's getting a lot of snaps. Did have a poor grade, though, a 43.2. Then to quickly go over the pressures and sacks allowed. So Rasheed Walker, although he had a 61 overall grade, allowed 5 pressures, and that's against Highsmith. I think Watt stayed on Tom's side the entire time. I may be mistaken, but Rasheed Walker still allowed 5 pressures. Zach Tom allowed 3, and there was a sack, but they're not tying it to Zach Tom. I know TJ Watt got the sack, but it doesn't show it on here. So maybe they're actually tying it to Jordan Love, interestingly enough. Elton Jenkins allowed 2 pressures. A.J. Dillon allowed 1. Josh Myers allowed 1. And John Runyon allowed 1. All right, now going over the defensive grades for the Green Bay Packers. This first one really surprises me, actually. Usually I'm very used to and agree, hey, Rashawn Gary's at the top here, 79.1. But I thought he was pretty invisible in this game. And I stated that multiple times during the stream and my post-game reaction, and I agreed with a lot of people saying that. He did only get 1 pressure, and he also missed a tackle on one. He had 1 tackle and 1 missed, and that's why he's a 42.9 tackle grade. But PFF has him as the highest graded defender, which isn't saying much. I mean, this defense got gashed all day, so it's not really saying much to be the highest graded defender in this game because the defense didn't play well at all. But PFF has Rashawn Gary at the top. They have Kenny Clark at the top too, which again is a surprise to me. I thought these 2 players were 2 of the players that had bad games. So Kenny Clark, again, a horrible tackle grade. He had 2 missed tackles. This guy, I feel like misses tackles every single game. The Packers missed so many tackles in this game. And it's nice to see a higher grade for PFF for Kenny Clark because he's never graded high. But at the end of the day, he didn't pass the eye test, in my opinion. And I didn't go back and watch the film yet. But he didn't pass the eye test, in my opinion. But PFF does have him graded high. Corey Ballantyne is a guy that passed the eye test and is graded highly. 71.0 here. And we'll go over the coverage stats right after this. So nice game by him filling in for Jair Alexander. He's done this week in, week out. Every time he's had to come onto the field and play a significant amount of snaps, he's actually done really well. Preston Smith, a 69.3. Isaiah McDuffie, a 68.0, continues to step up in the absence of whatever linebackers hurt at the time. Carl Brooks, 66.7. He only had 14 snaps. Anthony Johnson Jr. only had 6 snaps after starting last week. Still want to see him get more snaps, even if he's not starting. Keyshawn Nixon, a 62.2. I thought he had a decent game. Made a couple nice tackles. Devontae White, a 61.3. JJ Enagbare, 59.9. Very disappointing year for Enagbare. I feel like every time he's on the field, it's kind of like a mistake happens on his side of the field, or a run happens on his side of the field, or the quarterback gets out of the pocket on his side. Just this disappointing year after a very promising rookie year. Not a good game return for Rudy Ford, where he's been one of the most consistently graded players, a 54.8. De'Vondre Campbell, 53.8. So we start to get in the real bad here and why the Packers got gashed in the run game. John Owens, a 51.5. Carrington Valentine, a 50.0. Lucas Van Ness, a 48.0. He had 2 missed tackles, so not a good game by LVN. Got to wrap up. The Packers, had such a... Look at all these missed tackles on the right here. Like 16 missed tackles in this game. Insane. You got to tackle better. TJ Slayton, a 40.5. Only 1 pressure. And Colby Wooden had 10 snaps and was the lowest graded defender at a 29.3. Now to quickly wrap things up and go over the coverage stats here, we see Corey Ballantyne against wide receivers allowed 4 receptions on 7 targets for 37 yards. He allowed 2 receptions for Pickens, 1 for Deontay on 3 targets, and 1 on Calvin Austin. So again, a nice day. Yeah, he got picked on a little bit and gave up a couple receptions, but later in that game, he came back and, was creating great pass breakups. I think he had 2 pass breakups as well, and they started to pick on him, and it didn't really work late in that game. He was defending very, very well. Isaiah McDuffie allowed 4 receptions on 5 targets for 25 yards. We see Keyshawn Nixon allowed 2 on 3 targets for 12 yards. And I'm trying to find Valentine. Here we go. So although Valentine was graded poorly, he only allowed 1 reception on 2 targets for 28 yards. So just that 1 back shoulder throw to Pickens where it's like, it's a great throw and catch. You can't do too much about that. He was in coverage and he had a good position, but it was just a great throw and catch. So although Valentine graded a 50.8, he didn't really give up anything other than 1 catch. So maybe he was in poor position in running plays or something of that sort in terms of his PFF grade. So that does it for all the PFF grades, offense and defense. Packers week 10 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Packers head back to Green Bay this week to play the Los Angeles Chargers. And man, just watching that Lions-Chargers game just made me a little bit envious. Just watching both offenses go to work, run different schemes, power run the football, go for it on 4th down, convert it on 4th down. Man, that game made me very envious, and I'm kind of worried what this Chargers offense is going to be able to do against the Green Bay Packers. The Chargers are a very weird football team. I feel like they should be a lot better than they actually are, but their record doesn't show it. They always make constant mistakes, so we'll see how this game goes. It's a hard one for me to depict. I was confident in the Packers beating the Steelers. That didn't even happen, and I'm very kind of confused on how I think this game is going to go against the Chargers. But if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like down below. It supports my channel a ton and tells me you like this sort of thing, so I'll continue making these episodes. But I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.